This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Friday, January 31st. Man, finally into January, but man, it is snowing. But we have got a hot show today. Clark Kellogg's on the program today. Looking forward to talking to Clark, former Buckeye and a CBS analyst. Of course, talking about Indiana's era, preparing to take on the Buckeyes tomorrow. Indiana women's team last night gets a win in overtime. Some big news out of Ohio State with DJ Carton. Kind of a weird deal. We talked a little bit about Kobe King leaving the Wisconsin program. We'll talk more about that. Some sad news in motorsports. John Andretti passes away. The Super Bowl is coming up. And plenty more. It is an action-packed, plenty to get to show. Welcome aboard, and hope you're having a great day. Tom Brew's going to join us as well. So looking forward to that. Yeah, it's unusual that DJ Carton leaves the Ohio State program for reasons that he wants to take better care of himself.
What does that mean?
It's a great question that I don't have the answer to, man.
But hang on a minute. I'm reading a Twitter from him, and it talks about him needing to strengthen his mental health. When I asked that question, I wasn't making light of it. Now I see. Oh yeah,
you're not aware of the situation.
I was not.
He has left the team, and in order for himself, for his mental health, he's not in a place where he wants to be, and it's not something that we're making light of. I'm not making light of it in any stretch, in any way. It's an unusual situation that it's not that it's unusual to see people going through stress, but it's unusual to see such a high-profile freshman athlete do this in the middle of the season.
Yeah, but it's become, and this has been such a good thing, I think, for not just athletes, but for people in general, is to be able to see, athletes deal with a lot of the same issues and same stresses as everybody else. Just because you playing on TV doesn't make all that stuff go away and make you all of a sudden, not have the same issues as everybody else. I think Kevin Love, was it 2 years ago, really started speaking out about that.
Yes.
And I'm proud of the kid for putting that first, because right now, and it's terrible.
Well, how hard? Talk about how hard this has to be. You went through. Not saying you went through this situation, but you were certainly in a situation to where if a kid was going to be feeling pretty rough, it would have been in a situation that you encountered playing for Coach Knight and going through all that stuff, which makes things difficult. But you've gone through those. You're a freshman. All this stuff. There's a lot that you deal with, but this is a little surprising.
Yeah, no, this is And this is a kid that had become, I think as the season progressed, I'll be really interested to hear Clark's take on this, because DJ Carton has really started to evolve. And when Muhammad and Washington both got suspended, I think that might have been the first game that DJ Carton started for them. And he's really gotten better all year long. Like, he's really started to emerge as one of their very important players. So, for the team's sake, it's a setback for them, but that's Coach Holtman for sure will. The team is second when it comes to something like this. The kid definitely needs to get himself in a position where he feels good and is comfortable and all that, and needs some help. And I'm super impressed with the fact that he would take this, would put himself out there, because this cannot be an easy decision. He's going to take, how fan bases are in Ohio State.
Well, it's not your teammates. You got to worry about feeling like you let your teammates down.
Sure. Everything. It is no-win situation all the way around. So I just hope that he gets better. I did not, in all the news of everything that had gone on, I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah, it's not a situation to where it has anything to do with playing time. It has nothing to do with the coach.
Yeah,
There's nothing going on in that regard. This is strictly DJ Carton feeling like he needs to take care of DJ Carton and doing whatever he does. Now, on the other side of that coin, we've got Kobe King, Todd, who also just left the Wisconsin program with 10 games to go in the season. But this is because this is not the best fit for him. Now to me,
was that what he said?
Yes.
Was that his statement?
Yes.
Yeah,
Wisconsin is not the best
that's
fit.
Just it, without knowing all the details. And so let's just take, on the surface of what we do know about it. And that's that statement and the fact that he left in the middle of the season. That's a much more selfish decision when you're looking at, you have teammates and you make a commitment. Yeah, you make a commitment to the school and all that, but you make a commitment to your teammates and the fan base and your family and everybody involved when it comes to, when it comes to making a decision on where you go to school. I mean, that's kind of one of the things a lot of people leave out when they think about a kid picking a school. And when you do that, your teammates start to rely on you and everybody starts to rely on each other. And then when a piece of that is taken away, if it's for an injury or if it's for something, sometimes it can band everybody together. But when it's an issue where somebody is just selfish or whatever, it looks, at least on the surface, like this is a much more selfish decision.
I'm not asking for names, but when you were playing, there had to be people that were going through this where they had doubts, where they like, man, I don't know if I can deal with this. I don't know if I can stay here. I'm thinking about leaving.
I can tell you. So I can tell you probably every single player on our team. I think every single player from my freshman class, which was all 7 of us that came in, and Funderburk and Chris Lawson eventually did end up transferring, but every player at some point in time thought about transferring. I mean, and I don't mean I think every player at every school thinks about that.
I was going to say, I think it's a lot more prevalent than people think.
For sure it is, and then that's when you need the upperclassmen leadership. You need good coaches. You need good assistant coaches. You need a good family, and you need people to, I'm not saying talk you out of it, but at least give you the pros and cons of it. Because as an 18, 19-year-old kid, sometimes you just kind of rush and make a decision based on, the heat of the moment, as opposed to kind of weighing the pros and cons all the way through. And I think as we get older, hopefully we weigh some of those decisions a little bit more and look at both sides of it. But yeah, I mean, I think we'd be shocked. I think the average person would be shocked at how much that kind of stuff is talked about. And that was before, I mean, look what I'm talking about back in archaic times. I mean, think about now they've got a transfer portal. I'm sure these guys talk about it all the time and talk about where, going to this place or this particular system fitting their game and stuff like that. So I'm sure now, because it's much bigger of a thing. But I'll tell you this, and I think people would be surprised if I said this, and I'm not going to use names because I don't want anyone to have to answer questions about it. But I can tell you, even the best players on our team considered transferring.
And I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised. And this has nothing to do with Bob Knight. Just from the level of what I know goes on, of what people have to go through and all that, it is tough. This is not high school. Every time you go up a level, believe me, it goes up, and everything ratchets up. The mental stress ratchets up. The physical stress ratchets up. It all, the requirements, what's required of you, the places you got to be, the things you got to do, it all goes up. And these guys are still teenagers, and most can handle it, but sometimes it gets to be too much. And you know what? In life, we've seen too many times where people try to take that on. And we're not equipped to do that, man. I'm not equipped to do that.
Right.
And so if you need help, reach out, ask somebody, ask a friend. It doesn't matter who it is.
And it's not even a negative anymore.
It's a sign of strength, to be honest with you.
Truly it is. I swear to you, that is.
It's harder to ask for help than to not ask for help.
That's exactly right. And it's just kind of in the old days, back in our days, you just didn't. You had to just get through it. You didn't bring stuff like that up. And I think we would have all been better off had we done it.
And you're listening to a guy, trust me, he's been through it. He knows. So if you're sitting out there, and ask for help if you need to.
Yep. Okay.
Now, the Kobe King thing, man. Yeah, I mean, you hit it. I hate to put a word like selfish on it, but I'm sorry. With 10 games left in the season, you have 11 teammates that are counting on you.
That's right. Here's the thing with that.
Piss on what you want for another month.
A lot of times, this is where kids nowadays are a little bit different in that, if they don't like a decision they made, well, they just jump ship and go to another one. As opposed to understanding, someone should sit him down and get him to understand, hey, look, you made this decision. You've got to live with it for the year. It doesn't mean you have to stay there your whole career.
Right.
But you made a commitment to these people.
Because he can't go anywhere and do anything now other than hurt his team. That's all he's doing.
That's all he's doing. He's not. It's not going to happen any sooner for him. He's not going to be able to do anything any faster because he chose to leave now.
Now, he's really come out and said that this is now opposite of DJ Carton. This is directly about the coach. This is directly about how he feels he's being used, that he's not being used correctly, which there's been some meetings. But, I'm like, really? Your third year, it takes you 3 damn years, especially when he says he already had this feeling the first year. So, if you've been feeling this way for this long, that's okay. But you can't leave with 10 games left in the season.
Yeah, he's a junior. It looks like he redshirted a year.
Yeah, so he's a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah, this is his third year of being there. And the coaching staff didn't change. There wasn't a bunch of turnover. There wasn't any dramatic changes that I've seen.
It's been a smooth transition, as a matter of fact.
He was the second leading scorer on the team. I mean, It's not like he wasn't playing.
Yeah, it's
so. Here's also the situation. Look, we don't know. We're not there in practice every day. We don't see what they're doing and going through and stuff like that. So, I hate to voice too much of an opinion on it, but it sure seems like on the outside. I mean, the kid started all 19 games he's played this year and is averaging 10 points a game and averaging almost 30 minutes a game. I mean, I don't know what program he's going to go to where he's going to get much more of an opportunity than 28 and a half minutes a game.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to DJ Carton for a second and get selfish for Indiana. That's got to be helpful as they go into Columbus on Saturday.
Well, yeah, he's a player. Like I said, he's been really getting a lot better, and I think it looks like he's been getting more comfortable on the floor, and he shoots the ball really well. He's one of their better shooting guards, and it's a loss for them. He was, when they first played Indiana, I really thought that he was watching him play. I was saying this is going to be a guy that in his junior and senior year is going to be talked about as one of the best guards in the league. And from Indiana's standpoint this week, you and I have been saying this all along. It'd be interesting to hear Clark Kellogg's view of it because you and I have been saying this for a couple of weeks now. There's just been something going on at Ohio State. And it's internal. And
you
we don't
said
know what
it. You nailed this a long time ago. I got to tell you, you nailed this a long time ago. And man, you could not be proven any more right with this DJ Carton thing. I mean,
and with the 2 suspensions. I mean, they had the 2 suspensions of Muhammad and Washington and those guys, and it's just they just have something on the outside. Just looking in, you can tell something's not right about them because they were playing really well together, and it looked like they were having a lot of fun early in the season. And all of a sudden now it looks like a job to them. So I'll be interested to hear Clark's opinion on that.
Well, we don't have to wait long. He's up next. And so let's get to a break so we can get to Clark Kellogg. We're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Of course, listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. Back with Clark Kellogg right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all know winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is A.J. Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary here on this last day of January. It's cold outside, but we're about to heat it up because we got the smoothest voice in college basketball analyst, Clark Kellogg. Clark, how are you, man?
Jim, Todd, I am great. Sounds like you guys are in mid-season form, so good to hang out with you.
We're rolling, man. We're rolling, but
I know you are. I know you are. I can hear it and feel it in your voice.
You are our favorite, and you are the smoothest voice on college basketball, and I love it. You are the funnest to listen to.
I will take that as a compliment, and I appreciate it, but I always tell people there are enough flavors of us out there. You should be able to find one you like.
I always say you're the Dalai Lama of the basketball world. You just make me feel comfortable when I hear your voice.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. I try to keep it real and keep it simple.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, it has been nothing simple is not what it has been in college basketball this year, Clark. It has been a crazy year. The Big Ten, no less. We've seen Ohio State and Michigan ratchet up the rankings and then ratchet right back out. It's just been a topsy-turvy year, and then a crazy season, of course. And then, of course, the DJ Carton thing with Ohio State, Kobe King, just all kinds of craziness going on.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you think about it, the landscape is pretty wild compared to past seasons, but I've been at it for a long time, and you don't get too surprised by anything. It's the nature of college basketball now. Clearly, the Big Ten has been competitive and topsy-turvy, top to bottom. And now we'll begin to start to home in on what's going to take place as far as tournament bids as we cross into February. You tend to start thinking about where teams are currently and what needs to be done between now and Selection Sunday to to fortify opportunities to play in the field of 68. But in the meantime, you've got a conference battle, and there's no way you can be thinking ahead when you've got the kind of gauntlet in front of you that all of the Big Ten teams have, and even the Big East is much the same in terms of just great competitive balance, top to bottom.
Yeah, Clark, this is Todd. Watching the shows all the time and hearing, I always love to listen in because obviously we watch the Big East and the ACC and the Big Ten all the time, but you always seem to come up with one or two schools from one of those other conferences that seems to make a run or gets to the Sweet 16 or even the Elite Eight, and I think this is one of those years like you could pick teams that might even be within the Big Ten, like a Rutgers or somebody like that maybe they play in a big conference, but they're not the usual names that you hear out there. What schools should we look for that are not Big Ten, Big East, ACC this year? Because I always love when you give us a nugget of some school to watch for because it always seems like they make a run.
Yeah, I really enjoy that part of the job in terms of preparing and keeping an eye on teams outside of the Power Five or the Big Six conferences. And I do that all year long, guys. I start in November as soon as games are being televised. As a matter of fact, I go back to last year's tournament notes, both the NIT and the NCAA tournament, and look at teams that maybe were part of the NIT field that have a bunch of guys returning. I take a look at NCAA tournament teams that were really young or teams that just missed the tournament, had really good conference seasons, but somehow weren't able to be part of the field of 68. And I start watching and charting those teams. And then each week during the season, particularly once we cross into January, I try to watch teams that are on a roll. Murray State has won 10 games in a row. Winthrop has won 11 games in a row. And I've seen those teams a little bit, and they're good. East Tennessee State had a couple of good games and wins. So you keep an eye on some of those teams. Liberty started off one of the last teams to remain unbeaten until a game late December at LSU, and that's a good experienced team that won a game in the tournament last year. So I keep an eye on all of these teams. I'm watching them multiple times, and if in fact they're able to get to the field, depending on matchup, I have some conviction about how they could do. But to your point, Todd, this year you could find teams that may not be at the top of the Big Five or Big Six conferences that could run. For instance, last year I think was a 5 seed and did a good job in their conference regular season. But teams that may be middle of the pack in strong conferences could find matchup favorability from a 5 or 6 seed and have a chance in a year like this year to maybe get all the way to the Final Four. But some of those non-power conference schools, I mentioned a couple of them, Liberty, Murray State, Winthrop has been impressive to me this season. And then I've got my eye on a few others, but it's not until late February you can really start to home in. College of Charleston has been impressive as well. So I've got those on the radar screen. So I just added some teams for you guys to put on your watch list.
I wrote them all down, believe me.
Hey, and speaking, that's the non-power. Now we get back to the power and the Big Ten specifically, Clark. This could be an unprecedented year for the Big Ten as far as number of teams making the tournament. And we've seen this upheaval throughout the conference this year. Heck, I don't even know who's going to win this conference. It could be Illinois, right. It could be Michigan State. We don't know how many losses the leader's going to end up with. Todd has said that they're probably going to end up as many as 5, and I think that's accurate. But you get a team like Indiana and Ohio State, two different directions. Indiana's fighting to get up into that middle level, upper level, and stay there. Ohio State's just trying to get back, and both these teams clash on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a big game. Every game in the Big Ten is big, but particularly when you've got a team that's similar to you in the standings or right near you in the standings and you get them at home, then you really feel like it's a must-win type of game for you. The key for all of these teams really, and I know it's cliche-ish, but you only can take one as you get them. And then you've got to be thinking about how are you playing? Are you getting better? Are you improving in areas of weakness? Because sometimes that's the way that you find yourself in a position to win 3 or 4 games in a row, or win a game that you're not expected or favored to win. So it's about wins, no doubt, but it's also about how are we developing, how are we playing to put ourselves in position to win. And every game in the Big Ten is a tough test. And Indiana and Ohio State both have shown flashes of really good play at times and have been really inconsistent. Some of it is youth. Some of it is just not playing as well as they need to, with the energy and the intensity and the sharpness that has to happen to win on a consistent basis. So these are two teams that are really two peas in a pod when you look at them in terms of their record, how they fared. Indiana lets the game get away against Maryland last Sunday, and then just not able to do anything in the second half against Penn State, where I thought they just were out-muscled and buffaloed a little bit in that second half. The physicality of Penn State really showed forth, I thought, in that last 14, 15 minutes of that game at Penn State. So you got to regroup and try to find a way to win on the road.
Yeah, hey, Clark, some of the teams in the Big Ten that are separating themselves apart. So Illinois, you obviously have to throw into that group. But really, if you look at, there's so many different teams that can play at a high level. But kind of the interesting part I've been watching was they've all got guys that they kind of center everything around, like Illinois around Kofi Cockburn and Michigan State around Cassius Winston, and even Iowa around Luka Garza and guys like that. But it's been the supporting cast when the supporting guys around them play well. So Illinois, for example, I mean, you got Frazier and Desanmu and Williams and Georgie and all those guys. When those guys play well, that's when Illinois is really good. When Cassius Winston when he gets Xavier Tillman playing well, and when the guys are shooting well for Iowa around Luka Garza, that's when they're really hard to beat. Those really good guys are going to get their numbers and their points and going to be the focal point, but it's that supporting cast that's really making the teams be able to elevate themselves to where they can compete with anybody. Did I hang up on him?
Yeah.
He's our favorite guest of all time. Did I make
he got tired of waiting to talk.
Did I make him hang up on me? Oh man.
Then Jake, see if you can get him back.
Well, no, it sounded like we just lost him.
Yeah, that's all right. Jake's gonna work on getting him back.
Well, shoot. But anyway, my point with all that, I mean,
long soliloquy is wasted. He can't respond to it.
Yeah, I know it. Did you watch Illinois by chance last night at all?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, they're separating themselves. Kofi Cockburn he's good. He's gigantic and big.
He's a man.
He is. He's enormous. But if you look at the other guys around him, I mean, he can't win a game by himself. He physically can't. Like he doesn't have the skill set. He can't win the game by himself. But if you add Frazier and Desanmu and all those guys around him, when they're playing well, honestly, they're the best team in the Big Ten. They're the deepest team.
All right, we got Clark back.
Sorry, Clark. Long question.
Oh, no worries, guys. No worries. Glad to be back.
But, Todd was just saying that how the Big Ten teams have just all elevate themselves when their supporting cast play well. And when they do, some of these teams are unbeatable.
Yeah, and that's the case pretty much for every team that's going to play well. I mean, you have to have your all-league type performers perform consistently for you. But to be your very best, then other guys have to star in their roles too. And the really good teams find a way to do that consistently. Or in some cases, they may be up and down during the regular season, but find a stretch in postseason play where it all comes together. But you're right. I mean, you have to have the guys that are playing do their job well consistently. Your stars or top performers, and then also your complementary role guys have to do that.
I don't know that it matters, but can the Big Ten get 10 teams in the tournament?
No. This is always fodder for talk radio and so forth because you don't operate on an island in these tournament bids, and really there's going to be cannibalization of teams in the conference. I mean, not everybody's going to have a strong enough resume to be part of the field of 68 as an at-large. It's just impossible. I don't know what the number is, but the talk is always premature of that volume, at least in my mind. Again, I haven't looked at everybody's schedule going down the road, but to anticipate 10 or 11, there'd have to be an awful lot go right, not just in the league, but outside of the league. You'd have to have you can't have any bid stealers in terms of teams winning conference tournaments that won't get in that large bid if they didn't get in there. So there's a lot of moving parts. I don't see double-digit numbers from the Big Ten as it currently sits. And we'll do a bracket preview show next week on CBS. We've done it the last few years where the committee takes a look at all of the hay that's in the barn. And if the season were to stop on that particular Saturday, which is February 8th, I think, that would be the field if it was over then. And I don't think you'll see 10 at that point from the Big Ten. But we'll see. It'll be fun to kind of take a look at that point in time.
Yeah, I think Indiana gets in as a mid-level seed. I think they're going to end up being like an 8 seed somewhere along that line, just off the strength of the Big Ten Conference. I mean, there's going to be a lot of Big Ten teams in this tournament that are ranked probably with a 6, 7, or 8 seed, I believe.
Yeah, I can see that. Again, I just don't know if the number will get to double digits. Again, if you were to stop, I'm not looking at the standings now, but if you were to cut it off right now, certainly Indiana, Ohio State, and then the teams that have separated themselves, I think Minnesota, Wisconsin are question marks. So you're talking Rutgers, Illinois, 7 or 8 probably? Yeah. If you include Indiana, Ohio State, disregard Nebraska and Northwestern, disregard in my mind right now Wisconsin and Minnesota. So that's 4 that aren't. So we got 10 left. Who am I missing?
Purdue.
Oh, yeah, and then you have to discount them. I would discount them at this point. Yeah, now again. So I would think unless something crazy happens between now and our preview show that we might see 9. From the Big Ten. I think the
one to that one is Wisconsin. I would have thought that they would have snuck in, but then you have this Kobe King thing on top of it, which is going to obviously play a negative effect on the
There's going to be 2 more games. I don't know what their schedule. Probably at least 2 more games between now and next Saturday. So they clearly have a compelling resume when you look at quality of wins and what they had done after starting somewhat disjointedly. So yeah, they might eke in, but again, that's all speculation based on what goes on elsewhere.
Yeah, you're right, Clark. They've got Michigan State at home this Saturday, tomorrow, and then they've got at Minnesota next week. So after those 2 games, you'll probably be able to shake them out one way or the other.
Exactly. I would think that would be the case, yeah.
Hey, as an Indiana show here, and I know our fans would like to have your opinion of it. What do you think of Trace Jackson Davis and how he's
love
out
him.
in his freshman year?
His game. He's one of the top front court, actually one of the top freshmen in the country. And when you start looking at the number of really good front court players in college basketball across the country, and regardless of class, there are a lot of good big guys out there, boy. I'm telling you, as I look through my list weekly or every week and a half, 2 weeks, I kind of refresh who's performing at a high level. But in terms of
a lot in the Big Ten.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. You can just start right there with Watkins and Oturu and Caleb Weston. And certainly Trace Jackson Davis has been phenomenal. I mean, I know I'm leaving some other guys out, but there's a plethora of good big guys across the country, which is somewhat unique in the last 10 or 12 years. I can't recall having this many prominent, high-producing 4 or 5 men in college basketball.
Have you seen Kofi Cockburn in person?
No, I've not seen him in person, but some things you don't need to see in person. That dude is a monster, man.
It's like I always try to explain this to people. Like I've been around a whole bunch of 7-foot people in my life, but Shaq was just bigger than everybody else, and that's how this dude is. That's how he is.
Yeah. No, he's terrific, man. Yeah, and Illinois is a team, boy. I tell you, I've been very impressed with them in terms of the shot-making ability, the way they can defend you. They get good punch off the bench. They've got a lot of pieces to like, and they seem to have found a pretty solid rotation and identity. That's a really, really good team in my estimation. So, yeah, but I failed to mention him, but clearly he's in that conversation when you talk about outstanding freshmen and terrific big men in college basketball.
Well, Clark, we can't thank you enough, man. I love having you on the program. You are, like I said, you are our favorite analyst, and we just love being able to. The Dalai Lama. We're going to give Gus Johnson to give you that nickname because it'll stick.
Hey, if it sticks, it sticks, man. I've been called worse.
Well, Clark, thank you, man.
Always a pleasure, guys, and let's try to do it again between now and the madness starting.
Look forward to it.
We will absolutely do so. Hopefully we'll see you along the way as well. Clark, have a great rest of the season until we talk again.
Yeah, very good. Take care, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, sir. Clark Kellogg, CBS sports analyst, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Larry, and love having him on, man. He is one of the absolute best in the game. Todd nailed that one. Hey, we got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Plenty to talk about as Indiana is getting ready to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Todd will preview that, and when we come back here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Larry, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Graham. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
I mean, I didn't think our big guys did a real good job of, first half much better than second half. They played us pretty much one-on-one inside at a score if you can. I didn't think they gave us a lot of looks, but we got some inside out. But the ball didn't move tonight. They made it difficult on us to move it. We didn't get good post catches, and when we did, we had to score it. And we missed way too many easy ones around the basket.
Archie Miller, Indiana head coach, talking about the bigs and specifically Trace Jackson Davis, Joey Brunk, those guys, getting them in gear. But they were actually the only ones who scored in the last game. That wasn't the problem to me. It wasn't the passing, and it's not the bigs. It just comes down to shooting, man.
Well, and I think, a part of he's doing a post-game press conference in that and doing an interview when someone asks him a question. Like, he's not really elaborating on what he means by that. But when he says they're guarding him one-on-one, what that means is it doesn't give the guard – I mean, the guards basically have to go beat their man one-on-one then because, you gain a lot of – that's why Indiana's solid basis of passing the ball inside and working everything from the post – should work because teams should have to go double team. And at least if they don't double team, they should have to help and hedge towards the ball being inside, which opens everything up, not just shots from the outside, but it opens up driving lanes and gives guys the ability to create mismatches and move without the ball. And when they only guard you one-on-one and you still can't score against them, which is what he was saying they were doing, they don't have to help down. They don't have to do that. And it makes it a lot harder on the guards. And I think teams are figuring out, the big guys from Indiana are pretty good, and that's where they're going to go to. But if we don't go double down on them, I still don't know they're going to score enough to beat us. I mean, Trace Jackson Davis, as great as I think he is, I mean, he doesn't score off of straight post feeds that often. I mean, Joey Brunk maybe does, maybe 3 times a game, maybe 4 times a game. But more than that, it comes off of, penetration and guys kicking them the ball and
rebounds, offensive
rebound
baskets,
and junk baskets is what I call those and stuff like that, where you're creating your own stuff. I mean, that's how Justin Smith. I mean, that's his biggest value. I mean, when he gets a second chance basket, I mean that's invaluable to Indiana. And
it's usually a creative basket too. On top of that,
all the good teams have that. All the good teams have guys that do that and make a living off of that. But Indiana, even though they play through the big guys, I don't think anybody is overly, scared of Indiana just overpowering them on throwing the ball in the post and scoring enough points to win the game.
Well, they don't have Kofi Coburn down there.
That's the crazy part about him too, is he scores a decent amount off of them throwing it inside, but probably not much more than Joey Brunk.
Right.
But he's just so big that he tips balls and gets offensive rebounds. And
he affects the game.
He does. He affects the game without even touching it. In a possession, them trying to help to take the pass away inside creates an avenue for somebody else to cut or get open or catch the ball and drive their man because he's out of position just a little bit. And so, that's how much more they can affect a game without – I watched him last night. Kofi Coburn affected the entire end of that game, the last 4 minutes of that game, and barely touched the ball. And it's because of how Minnesota had to defend him.
Absolutely. So Indiana now going into Columbus, there's no way that this has not been made easier with the DJ Carton situation because that's the guy that makes that offense go for them. So that's going to really affect their offense.
Yeah, he's probably, CJ Walker, the transfer from Florida State, who's from Indianapolis originally, I think early in the year when they were playing their best, I think he was playing a much bigger role on that team than what he has as of late. And I'm kind of surprised that they haven't gone back to that. But part of that has been the emergence of DJ Carton as a freshman. He's gotten a lot more playing time. He's probably, I might take this back, but he's probably at least their second best outside shooter. I think DJ Washington may be, I don't know if that's his name, something Washington. I think he may be one of their best outside shooters. I know Caleb Wesson has shot the ball. No, Andre Wesson has shot the ball really well from 3-point line. He's especially did against Indiana. But their guard play has been I think been a little bit more inconsistent. I think Caleb Wesson is always going to be difficult to guard and get his points and his touches and stuff like that. Andre Wesson has elevated his play to the point where I think he is a huge factor. So once you take both the Wessons, those two guys are good enough to carry a team, and they're just not good enough to carry him for the whole season and through a Big Ten gauntlet like it is.
Well, Andre Wesson was the leading scorer the last time Indiana and Ohio State played.
Yeah, and he was making threes. He made 2 threes in the first half. I can remember that were huge.
Yeah,
but so did Caleb Wesson. So did Caleb Wesson. They both stepped out and made a three.
They were 5 of 10. They hit 50% in that last game.
Yeah, and a lot of those were early on. You remember in the first half of those, I remember Caleb Wesson and Andre Wesson both hit a three-pointer in the first 5 minutes of the game. And it kind of set the tone, and Indiana was fighting an uphill battle. But in that same game, I think Indiana, they were able to shoot the ball pretty well, too. I know Fennessy made a couple. And
Devontae he had 19 points in that game. He was 2 of 3 behind the three-point line.
Was he? Isn't that the game? Did Jerome Hunter make a three in that game? I think that's the game he banked one in from out front.
He was actually 0 for 1 in that game.
Was he?
But he was 5 of 6 at the free throw line.
Oh, so remember, that's the game when we talked about Jerome Hunter. It was one of the most effective games that he had for Indiana because
he didn't take the wild shots.
He was getting inside the lane. He got fouled inside the lane and went 5 for 6. And that was truly we talked about it after that game. Like, we hope that propelled him to understand, hey, you know what? You can score with your back. You're 6'8" or 9" with a long wingspan. Get in there and get your back to the basket. Get fouled. Get to the free throw line. He's probably one of the best free throw shooters. So
it was probably the most effective. You're probably right. It probably was the most effective, efficient game he has played.
Yeah. The kind of game that you can repeat. Now he's made some 3-pointers, and he's made some big shots in games, but he's also missed a lot of really big shots. I mean, Jerome Hunter's 9 for 37 on the year from the 3-point line. I mean, he's shooting 24% from the 3-point line, and if you asked right now, I would say he probably thinks he's a pretty good 3-point shooter, and that's a problem. I mean, we think his best game is when he went 5 for 6 from the free throw line, and he thinks his best game is when he went 2 for 3 from the 3-point line.
And you could not be any more accurate. I mean, that is dead on balls accurate. I mean, that's straight up right. And that's the thing with his team. If it seems like if they could get a few guys to understand where they're better and most effective, the team would rise really quickly. But they kind of keep fighting that.
Yeah, they do. And that's a part of identifying your role, identifying what your value is to the team and things like that. Like, I know I gave a really long-winded version of it to Clark, but I mean, if you look at Illinois right now, yes, Kofi Coburn is good. He's just big. There's just something different about him, but he's not going to win a game by himself. And the guards, Frazier and Desanmu, I mean, those two guys right there, they're the best backcourt in all of the Big Ten. That's why Illinois is tied for the lead of the Big Ten right now. It's not just because – and Kofi Coburn is a huge part of it, but he can't dribble, so he's not Luka Garza. He can't step out in the three-point line and make threes. He's not going to beat you in that way. So if he's not being fed the ball and if he's not inside battling, he's not going to affect the game near as big as he is. If they don't have these other guys step up, the difference is if you watch Georgie, the big left-handed guy for Illinois, I mean, that guy knows his role. He catches the ball. He shot fakes. He's always looking to feed the post. He's setting great screens. Like, he to me is the unsung hero of that team. And you remember back in '87 when Indiana won the national championship, and Steve Alford, he got all the publicity for making 3-pointers and being that guy. But, we all talked about the screeners. If true Indiana fans watched Cree Smith and what was Thompson guy's name? I can't think of the big Tom. I can't get LaSalle Thompson out of my head.
Oh,
big guy for Indiana, 6'6", national championship, 1987.
Oh, Daryl Thomas?
Daryl Thomas, yeah, Daryl Thomas. But, I mean, you look at those guys set screens, like Daryl Thomas is not going to, he's not going to be on anybody's radar for a player of the year, but he knew his role. He knew what he was supposed to do. And there were so many guys on that team that knew what they were supposed to do. And scarily, I hate to say it in today's world, but that's what Illinois is today. Like, Illinois has those guys that understand their role, and they're not out there trying to score 30, and they play it very well, and they're good, solid players to go with it. I mean, I don't think there's any question in my mind. Illinois is way better team than Michigan State. I mean, they are the best team in the Big Ten, and I don't think it's even close.
Yeah, as badly as Ohio State has been playing, Indiana we were so lucky to win that game last time because we've talked about there's two things that I cannot believe they were able to overcome. One of which is this scoring drought, and there was this
11-minute scoring drought.
11 minutes. That's over an entire quarter of a game. But and on top of that, Todd, they shot 20 of 36 at the free throw line.
I know.
How do you miss 16 free throws, go 11 plus minutes without scoring, and still win over a team that was ranked 4th or 2nd at one time?
Yeah, and you know, I like to play this game, and we do it all the time, and it's easy to do when you've got the stat sheet in front of you, but I like to play the game afterwards when you say, there's no way I would have thought Indiana would have won if, and I would have given you these stat lines. And those free throws, not a chance in the world we would have ever thought they would have won. Allowing Andre and Caleb Weston to do what they did. I mean, no one really went crazy and had an extraordinary game in that ball game for Indiana. So, but this truly, like, this is the scary part for me in this game. This is almost a nail in the coffin to Ohio State.
Exactly.
If Indiana goes in there and beats them, this might be the end of this might be their end of their chances of making the tournament.
I absolutely agree. They're there because they've already been going through this horrible downslide that they have not escaped. They won a game or two along the way, but their slide has been pretty bad. And if they lose at home to Indiana, that'll give Indiana a sweep over the Buckeyes. But you're right. I agree.
I mean,
think that
if they lose
mentally,
this game,
what did it do to them mentally?
Yeah, if they lose this game, they'll be 3-7 in the Big Ten. And have 2-game road trip they got to go on. They got after this Indiana game, they've got to go to Michigan and to Wisconsin. And I mean, you know how tough it is in the Big Ten. So they would already be 3-7 if they lose this game. I don't see any way they can get, without making a huge run in the Big Ten tournament, I don't see any way they could get themselves back into position to make the NCAA tournament. So that's, and you know, when you got somebody backed against the wall, that's when they fight their hardest. And that just makes this road trip. I mean, they got to be licking their chops knowing how poorly Indiana has played on the road in the Big Ten, especially.
Oh, hell, anything. Yeah. Ohio State right now, anything that they can get to use.
Sure.
They're going to use, but Indiana has to look at this. And seems like I keep saying this, but as an opportunity, because it is, but now with DJ Carton not being there, surely, these kids know that going into this game. That's got to rev you up, fire you up, give you some added emphasis. I don't know. I mean, if you're going into a game and you know they're one of their best players, well, how does that affect you?
But you know what happens in this scenario a lot is this is going to be an opportunity for another kid on the team to step up
and rally, and Ohio State rally around him,
get some playing time. That Justin Aaron's kid, he's a left-handed shooter that comes in. I think he's a freshman. No, he's a sophomore. But he's a kid who I think they've kind of tried to throw in a little bit, get him to shoot some 3-pointers and get out in the game. He'll be a guy I think they'll step to in this game a little bit, try to get him to knock down some outside shots. But you know how this is. This is an opportunity for the whole. I think the Colts coined the phrase a while back, or maybe it was done 50 years ago. But the next man up mentality of, okay, we've lost a player here, somebody who's going to step up, and then on the flip side of it, it may just mean the starters have to play more minutes, which nobody's going to be upset about. I mean, they've got good players. I mean, Luther Muhammad, Dwayne Washington. Those guys are good players. They've got the ability to come out there and still be a really, really good team. CJ Walker, to me, I was telling you, I'll continue to go back to that. But I think when they were playing their best, he was a bigger part of handling the ball and being a bigger part of their offense. And I think they've gotten away from it.
A few other games in the Big Ten last night we mentioned, haven't really talked about. Iowa went to Maryland at a game I watched. I knew that was going to be a good game, and it was. Maryland is able to pull away there toward the end, 82-72. Iowa, that's a good showing on the road. I mean, that's about all you can do. Maryland is they've been winning. Iowa was on a 7-game winning streak, I think, or a 5-game winning streak. But those are two good teams. You're going to see them in the tournament. Those are two teams Clark talked about. They can make a run, both those teams, because they're difficult.
Well, Maryland is finally shooting the ball, and where'd they get their confidence? Playing against Indiana. I mean, Indiana they shot the ball the best that they've shot it all year long when they came here to Assembly Hall last week, And since then, they've been shooting the ball much better than they have all year long. So, thanks to Indiana for giving Maryland their confidence back in shooting. But
Jalen Jones is rewarded as player of the week.
Jalen Smith, yeah. Jalen Smith
rather.
And you know what? He's playing like it. I mean, he's affecting the game. And Iowa, on the flip side of that game, I mean, Iowa can beat anyone in the country. If Iowa shoots the ball well, they literally can beat anyone in the country. But they've got to have guys step up and shoot the ball really well. And they've not done it a couple games in a row. Like, they beat Wisconsin at home a couple of games ago, 2 games ago, and they didn't even play well. They shot the ball horribly. They were at one point, they were 0 for 10 from the 3-point line, and that's a big part of their game. But they've also got a bunch of guys that can shoot it. Last night, they just couldn't make any shots again. And Luka Garza played, I think he only played 4 minutes in the first half with foul trouble. So if he gets in foul trouble, they're in trouble.
Poor Minnesota. They're going to end up not making the tournament this year, but I think not because they're horrible, but just because they're playing in the Big Ten.
Just because it's that deep. Yeah. Turu is a great player, but they just don't have enough surrounding him.
Yep, you're right. They lose at Illinois last night, only 59-51. They hold Illinois to 59 points, but they only score 51. But, I think they're going to be one of the teams on the outside end. But we got plenty more to get to, man. We haven't even talked about the Super Bowl yet. That's coming up on Sunday.
Is that this weekend?
That's this weekend. Some prop bets. We're going to talk about some prop bets. You can bet on the nail polish of the singer of the national anthem. It is nuts.
What if it's a dude?
You could probably still bet on the nail polish of the national anthem singer. I would not be surprised. Plenty more. We're going to talk more about Indiana and Ohio State. Todd's got more to break down, so we got plenty more to get to. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Leary with you here on this last day of January. It's been so pretty nice, but I did notice it is snowing today. But then, Todd, I look at the freaking forecast. 60s! Man, it's going to be in the damn 60s next week.
I know. 60 and sunny for Super Bowl Sunday. How about that?
That's crazy. That sounds like
you're going to play around to golf
weather
before we watch the Super Bowl.
Go out at halftime and play another.
Can't ever say that's happened.
Man, yeah, that is crazy. A few texts into the text line. Joker says, pray that J-Lo or Shakira has a wardrobe malfunction.
That's just perverted.
Yes. I'm sure it won't involve Shakira's hips because her hips don't lie. Don't forget that. Her hips don't lie. Tim says Ohio State helped Indiana by shooting 21% in the second half. Yep. Does Hunter and Thompson play Sunday? There's a better question. Jerome Hunter, I don't know why he wouldn't. He has been playing a lot. Race Thompson, that's a deal there. We don't know. And this is a game where they need a Race Thompson. This is the style of game where they can use a Race Thompson. Obviously, they've shown they can play without him, but they haven't shown they can win without him.
Yeah, I mean, he gives them that depth. I mean, Indiana got in some foul trouble against Penn State, and they, that's one of the games they really missed out on having Race Thompson available. And I mean, I know, I think Deron Davis picked up a couple fouls in the first half, and so did Trace Jackson Davis and Joey Brunk, I believe. So yeah, I mean, that's the depth at the big guys needing those fouls, and especially, I mean, if you can get Jerome Hunter to play inside a little bit, and I don't necessarily mean defensively, I mean driving the ball into the lane or cutting into the lane. He would be a huge factor. What did he have? The flu? What was the reason he didn't play?
Who are you talking about?
Jerome Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
At Penn State, I think.
No, that was. I thought that was Demezi.
No, Demezi played a bunch.
Okay,
Jerome didn't play at all. Yeah.
Then it was Jerome that had the flu, and Race, of course, is suffering that injury that he was at Maryland. That was the Maryland game, wasn't it? He went down hard. He seems to be okay. I mean, I don't know if he's back yet or not. They may hold him out until they come back home. I don't know. But I like how he was going. I like how he was trending.
He was getting some play.
His confidence. You could tell he was getting more and more confident. Shots 5 feet around the basket, offensive rebounds. He's an important player.
Yeah, he can be. He can be. He's a guy that comes in and he always gets in the stat category. I mean, he gets some rebounds. Sometimes he'll get a block. He's even stepped out and made a three a couple times. He's a player. I think the more he plays, the more comfortable he'll get, and he understands his role. You don't see him trying to do things that he can't do, and that's where that's my issues with Demezi Anderson and Jerome Hunter, and they're trying to do things they can't do. They're not good shooters, yet they still stand out there and shoot 3-pointers. And I just, I know I keep saying that over and over again, but I don't understand. When guys try to do things that they're not good at, in my mind, I feel like they open up the opportunity for me to criticize them about it because we need them to play within their roles, and that's it.
I agree 1,000%. Changing gears a little bit, Ryan from Michigan asked, what do we think about the best NBA player from the Big Ten since the start of the 90s? This is a little off topic, but I wanted to get it out there. I'll leave that up to you. Who do you think was the best Big Ten player from the 90s?
In the NBA?
In the NBA. It's going back too far.
Chris Webber?
Yeah. I mean, he had a lot of success. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, Big Dog from Purdue?
Yeah, I mean, they all did. I mean, it's kind of hard. I don't know if you could pick one. I really don't. There's no one that really shine that I can recall, but
yeah, I mean,
that's something that Todd had to put some thought into.
I don't watch enough NBA to be that, to give that much statistics on it and that because truly, and I don't know how much people think about this as much as I do, but it's a totally different game. Like it's not comparable to college basketball. Just because you're a good college player does not necessarily mean you're going to be a good NBA player. And I mean, Calbert Cheaney will always be one of the best college players of all time. And translating his game to the NBA, the biggest problem with Calbert Cheaney, he's not selfish enough. He thinks about the team too much, and that's not the way the NBA is successful. The NBA is successful outside of the Pacers right now, because you look at them, they're a collective unit, and then when they kind of all work together and play well. Otherwise, you go watch like Houston. I mean, Houston is a great example, and you brought it up earlier this week. I mean, when James Harden shoots really well, they usually win. When Russell Westbrook shoots really well, they usually win. You know, if Eric Gordon chips in from time to time, obviously they feel better about it. But if they're single individual players that you know, when they play really well, then that team usually wins or plays well. And you know, when James Harden and Russell Westbrook, you brought this up the other day, but those two guys sit out and Eric Gordon shoots 22 times and has 50 points in the game. The very next game, you know how many points he had? 8. You know how many times he shot the ball? 4. Russell Westbrook shot the ball 30 times in the next game. and you just look at that and they, you know, you can't win that way. You can't win consistently that way. And because those guys are going to have off nights. I'm so tired of hearing about James Harden leading the NBA and scoring and, you know,
as
every
well as
night.
shots taken.
Yeah, he shoots 30 times. You should average 55 points if you shoot 30 times.
Why do they not? When you have a guy on your bench like Eric Gordon who shows dude can shoot, why would you not, as a coach, spread that out a little more? Or is it just too difficult in the NBA with the Eagles and the Dollars?
Yeah, this is where I just have to say, I'm looking at it from the outside in. I obviously don't know much about the NBA game, but I just think like general managers and owners and coaches in that scenario, they're too afraid to lose their jobs. They're too afraid to give up a guy like that, you know, because he's so talented, and he's extremely talented. James Harden, I mean, I hope I'm saying this positively, but he is so talented, it's incredible. Russell Westbrook, incredibly talented. But you cannot win a team game when you have guys that everything is based around one or two guys. And you have to have a collective group of people all working together, because once you do play against that, you're going to get beat. And I think they prove that year in and year out. I mean, you know, yes, Steph Curry got a lot of credit for, you know, Golden State when they were on, you know, becoming that dynasty they were for 4 or 5 years. But they were a team. Like, they played well. When all of them played well, they were great. When one of them played well and the rest of them didn't, they weren't that good. Otherwise, Draymond Green would never play. I mean, he's not that talented, but that dude knows how to play.
He knows how to talk too.
He can back it up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, I mentioned it earlier but I want to mention it again on a little sad note from the world of motorsports. John Andretti from the Andretti family was a 17-year NASCAR driver. He raced in 12 Indy 500s, passed away after a lengthy battle with cancer at 56. It's the nephew of Mario Andretti. His dad was Aldo. But, man, the Andretti family, you know, one of the most well-known in all of sports as far as family names, but especially when it comes to auto racing. But, yeah, sad deal to see that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, just what you said. I mean, you talk about auto racing. I mean, we're from the state of Indiana, so the Indy 500 and those things. I mean, Foyt and Andretti are the first names that come to mind. So, I mean, right. Obviously, when you get a scenario like that, and you know, it's been documented over the years in his long-term battle with cancer. The unfortunate part in the world today is, you know, once you hear someone has cancer, you know, it doesn't become that surprising, you know, 5 years later when all of a sudden we hear they pass away from it. And that's just, you know, the coaches versus cancer thing. I mean, all of this stuff taking place, that's the true awesome part of sports, is to be able to come together like that and work to try to cure something that is just bigger than basketball or bigger than sports itself. And you know, just sad for Andretti and everybody involved in the coaches versus cancer and losing their battles with cancer and stuff like that. It's just sickening.
Absolutely. And yeah, especially hits closer to home here in Indiana with the Indianapolis 500. He ran in 12 of those, man. His best finish was 5th, but it's got to be pretty amazing running around that track at 240 miles an hour. I can't imagine going that fast. And I love speed. I love to drive. I would love to drive a car. I would not want to drive an Indy car. I think I would be afraid to drive an Indy car.
Oh, you're crazy. I would love it. I'd probably be scared to death. I'd probably be going like 85 miles an hour around there feeling like I was flying. I could see me like thinking I'm breaking a new record going around the corner.
You look like Will Ferrell on
exactly.
Talladega Nights when he's up there going like 20.
Yeah. I come through looking to see what my time was and look up and I was going 89 miles an hour.
Oh man, that would be, I wish we could do that sometime, that driving experience. I've always wanted to do that with somebody else in another car, but in NASCAR
it would
cars.
Be cool.
Man, we got a lot more to get to. We haven't talked about the Super Bowl yet. We're going to talk about the prop bets later on, and there are many. What would you like to bet on? You want to bet on the fingernail polish color of the national anthem singer? You want to bet on if somebody runs it back for a touchdown to open it up? Heads, tails on the opening coin toss? It doesn't matter. We got you covered.
Does everybody do the square game? Everybody plays the square game somewhere across the country, don't you?
You would think, man. If not, it's not for a lost opportunity. I would imagine. Man, you can't hardly walk into a place.
I thought I was cool a long time ago. I thought I kind of invented that whole thing. Then I realized, oh no, every single Super Bowl party across the world does that.
The toddlery box.
I thought I'd really come up with something creative.
But we got lots more to get to. Tom Brew's going to join us, too. We'll see what he's got to talk about, what he's writing about. I'm sure Indiana basketball will be a big feature part of it. We'll be back with that and more here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Leary with you here on this final day of January. Indiana scheduled to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes tomorrow over in Columbus, Ohio. Joined now by Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Tom, how are you?
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
We're getting there. We're getting there, man. Indiana on the road this week in a game that has taken on a kind of a different light with DJ Carton opting to sit out for Ohio State. Big news for them because he's their point guard.
Yeah, it was a little surprising to see that this morning when I woke up, but it's as someone who's written a lot about mental health issues and this and that, I'm proud of the kid for taking it serious. He's obviously got some issues going on with himself, and he's going to take care of that. And I hope that he gets the help he needs and can get things straightened out and get back on the court soon. And but I am very proud of him for dealing with it, because it's a serious issue in this country, and he's got to take care of it, so he's doing it. So I'm happy for him that he's getting it done. But
yeah, we've
certainly
talked about
the impact of the game on the court, that's for sure, because they're going to miss him.
Yeah, we've talked about the difficulty of doing that. He's in the spotlight. He's one of the top players on his team. They're not having a great year, and they're struggling to make the tournament, and this is definitely not going to help them. This may be the final nail in the coffin that keeps them out of the NCAA tournament, which, I'll be honest with you, is pretty damn shocking considering that not too long ago they were the number 2 ranked team in the country.
Well, yeah, and they were. I just wrote that this morning in breaking down Ohio State. I mean, they were literally 40 minutes away from being the number 1 ranked team in the country in December. They were number 3. Louisville and Kansas had lost. All they had to do was beat Minnesota on a Sunday night, and they were going to be number 1. And they didn't, and they've gone from 5 to 10 to 15 to 21 to out. And they've lost 6 of 8. Their only 2 wins in the last month and change has been against Nebraska and Northwestern, and they've lost at home to some of the middle of the pack Big Ten teams. Home loss to Minnesota, home loss to Wisconsin. They're not the same team, and they're really struggling. And Caleb Weston against Minnesota, 1 for 10. Shooting 0 for 3 from threes, never even made it to the free throw line one time. And, we addressed all that today, and it's just like they are just a completely different team right now. And I'm not sure, if and when they're going to find the answers to fix that.
And on the other side of the coin, Indiana has not exactly been lighting it up here in their last few games. They give up a win at home to Maryland that they let slip away. Then they go on the road with a very lackluster performance at Penn State. But this is yet another opportunity to steal a win on the road, and this is a must win for Ohio State. But this is almost becoming, I don't want to say a must win for Indiana, but damn it, for the lack of opportunities that are going to avail themselves, this is going to be as a good a one as any to get a road win.
Well, absolutely. But I will tend to, I have been arguing this with people for a week. Indiana, I thought played great against Maryland, except for the last minute and a half. I mean, they did a great job of coming back in that game. They showed a lot of really good things in that game. To say that they struggled throughout that game is wrong in my book. I mean, they got off to a horrible start, and they played great for 30 minutes, and didn't finish, certainly. But they showed some good things, and now Penn State was just the opposite. They played horrible, and when you only have 4 guards on your roster and they go 3 for 26, you're never going to win. And they played poorly, but they've also they've also not played horrible like that back-to-back games. So I'm curious to see how they play on Saturday. I think they'll bounce back nicely, but I always have this little fear on these. On back-to-back road games when you got that second one's a noon start, because I always worry about how much energy they have for that start. And it's and for me in this game, if they can jump out on Ohio State early and get that crowd to turn on them a little bit and get them to start doubting themselves, I think that'd be huge. I mean, I think that's the key to the whole game is that first 5 minutes and getting out ahead of them and just trying to play from ahead in that game. I think would be huge.
Indiana's got to show that they can hold on to a lead and do so on the road, which has been difficult for any team in the Big Ten this year, although we've seen a lot of cracks in that here of late. Teams are starting to break through and win on the road, and especially in a situation where Ohio State, we don't know if they're going to rally around the DJ Carton situation or if it's going to affect them negatively enough to where it really hampers them in this game. But Indiana has got to play their game. They've got to start hitting some shots, and they've got to start hitting free throws. I mean, the free throw situation is getting to be critical.
Well, Penn State, they just didn't get to the line, period, which is very rare for them. I mean, that's been, to me, one of the more disturbing trends in the last couple of games is their inability to get to the line. Because they've been ranked in the top 4 in the country all year, and in number 1 for most of the year in getting free throw attempts, and they've been in the top 10 in makes, because they've been there so much. And Penn State, they only got 10 free throws, and just they need more of that. And Chris Holtman said it best. That it's important to live, with post touches, but you cannot live and die for 40 minutes with post touches. But they got to get back to the line. I would like to see bigger games out of Trace and Joey this week, but I would also really like to see Justin Smith take the ball more aggressively to the basket, because I think when he's moving with the ball, that it helps other things kind of get open up too. When he's standing around stationary and just wanting to shoot jump shots, this offense just dies in his hands. And I think he needs to be in attack mode all the time. They need to get the Ohio State bigs in some foul trouble and be aggressive early and, make them play Indiana's game instead of the other way around.
Yeah, we've talked about Justin Smith being at his most efficient when he is doing just that, when he's attacking the rim instead of standing out there on the perimeter. And if he can do that, that's going to help the Indiana offense a lot. Yeah,
because we talk about the guards all the time, and we talk about the bigs all the time, but it's just that wing production. You need to have that. You need to have those guys step up in games and dominate. And to me, Justin Smith is the most frustrating player on this roster to me because of what he could be. It's like Devontae Green. We take he's a shooter and nothing more, and so you take shooters when they're hot, when they're not, and you got to just kind of live with it. But Justin Smith has the ability and the potential to put the ball on the floor and attack a rim with just 1 or 2 quick dribbles and long strides. And, he can be aggressive that way. And when he plays that way, then he winds up being so much better on the defensive end too, because he's just totally engaged. But when he disappears from games mentally, it's not even worth having him out there. And, against an Ohio State team that, to me, this is a matchup for him where he can excel in, and hopefully we get a lot out of him early, and he stays engaged and has a big game, because I think he can be the key to this game.
We're certainly going to find out as they travel to Columbus tomorrow at noon. What do you have for the folks to read about?
Well, obviously, we got a real good breakdown on Ohio State today. I got some more game stuff coming. Indiana availability at 11:45, so we'll see what the Hoosiers have to say this afternoon. There'll be a couple more stories, and of course, all the typical game day stuff tomorrow and the follows to come. And we'll start on Monday to start looking real seriously on some bracketology stuff and kind of where they're at and who they are sort of in the hunt with. And my conversations early is right now they are in the tournament, but they need to finish. They need to finish this February strong, and so we'll see how it goes and go from there. And obviously, going to catch up on some football stuff too. Got another signing day coming up here soon, and we'll have all that as well.
Plenty to get to, man. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Thanks a lot for joining us.
You're welcome, guys. Have fun. Talk to you soon.
Have a good one. There's Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. It's a big sports weekend. It's the last football of the weekend, Todd, as the Super Bowl will come and go. We can put that in bed, although it feels like it's already over after 2 weeks, and I don't count that stupid Pro Bowl. So we've been without football for 2 weeks now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier this week. I mean, it's such a long layoff between the college football, early semifinals and the final game being more than 2 weeks long. And then, in football, if it weren't for this matchup, like truly, if this was the Tennessee Titans versus anybody else, I mean, I honestly don't know that I would care that much. I mean, I would probably watch it because it's the Super Bowl, but I mean, because it's exciting, it's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's the face of the NFL right now, and he brings an excitement to it that makes it fun to watch. That otherwise, this 2-week layoff would be kind of exactly what you said. I mean, it would already be kind of over in our minds, and it would be an afterthought. But I'm still excited to see it because of the Patrick Mahomes factor, and because of there's some excitement to it because there's an offensive team that has a chance of going out there and scoring 50, and it's just that makes it more fun. I don't want to see a Super Bowl that's 13-10.
Yeah, it's also the end of an era. Tom Brady, first of all, this is the first time since 2015 that the Patriots are not in the Super Bowl, I think. But it's not just that. This could be the end. Is this going to be the end of this New England dynasty? It has been nothing short of I don't know if there's ever been, UCLA basketball, men's basketball was one, but this at the pro level, this is freaking, at this day and age, what they have done, you got to take your hat. I'm not a New England fan.
I'm not either.
What Bill Belichick has done, dude's a genius, man, and he did it with so many different groups. I mean, you got Tom Brady, but the cast around him over the last 20 years, how many freaking times has it changed? It's amazing.
Well, when you know you're great, when you reach the level of greatness when even people that despise you as a team respect you, and they know how good you are, and they know what you're doing is that incredible. It used to be kind of back in the day of the argument of who is better, Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson or Larry Bird, and when you're saying all that, even the people who say Larry Bird's the greatest player of all time respected the heck out of Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, knew how good they were because they're in the conversation. You knew how good they were, and to talk about, I don't know that you'll ever see it in our lifetimes. I don't know that we'll ever see another dynasty like what New England put together. And it's probably the best coach and one of the best quarterbacks of all time, mingling together and having great minds and thinking their way through it and just being, but then at the end of the day, saying all those great positive things, I'm glad it's over because I'm tired of watching it and I don't want to see it anymore. And I love the new way it's going with Mahomes and running all over the place and throwing the ball all over the field. And it's just a new, more exciting. It was technical and almost surgical watching New England march up and down the field.
It's exactly what it was.
This is like watching a freaking train wreck going down a million miles an hour.
A NASCAR race.
It is. This is balls to the wall, going as fast as you can up and down the field. And
door to door, beating and
fun
banging.
to watch. Yeah, fun to watch.
And it's hard. It's hard to believe that New England was able to, in this day and age, I'm really surprised that they were able to maintain a dynasty at the professional sports level because professionals, these guys are all freaking good.
Think about it kind of this way. And this is how good they are as professionals, whether it's the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, whatever it is. You take what Baltimore was able to do this year with Lamar Jackson. And this is what got kind of crazy when they started talking about, he'll be the best of all time, or he's putting up numbers that are better than anybody ever. Because if you give NFL minds and coaches and coordinators enough time to prepare for something, they're going to figure out a way to stop it. And they're going to figure out a way to slow it down. They're going to figure out a way to make it not as effective as what it's been. That's why when you look at what New England was able to do, they always came up with something a little bit goofy. Belichick was always coming up with some scheme or game plan that was different than what you prepared for or what you thought of. And quite frankly, not to turn it back into Bob Knight, but that's what Bob Knight was so good at. Like he would design something up and coming into a game, and all of a sudden, it would come out and Chris Reynolds would be guarding Chris Webber. And you're like, what in the world? Like all of a sudden, just they didn't know how to prepare for that. They didn't know how to think about it. And Belichick, it seemed like that's why I really enjoyed watching them. I'm a Colts fan. I hate the Patriots, but I respected them, and I enjoyed watching the technical, surgical way they went about, taking a team apart, as long as it wasn't the Colts. Because when it was the Colts, it just made me sick. But when watching them go just take a team apart offensively and defensively, how many years did they have the worst defense in the NFL, and all of a sudden they go through the playoffs and win the Super Bowl and held teams to 6 points a game? You're like, how do you do that? But that's how impressive that was. But at the end of all that big long monologue, I'm glad it's over because I'm ready for the new. I'm ready for the new wave.
Yeah, but then the next question, of course, comes along with your favorite impersonation: is does Tom Brady end up in a Colts uniform?
No, he doesn't.
I would not be surprised, man. I mean, Jim Irsay, that's something I can see him getting that into his head that he wants to do just because of the freakness of it. Here's how I look at that, and I don't disagree with you. Like it's so off the wall, it would almost be entertaining to think about it. But if they were coming off of having a long run of like Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck, where it's been, he's been the starting quarterback for 9 years in a row. And the quarterback position has been so stable, and then all of a sudden there's going to be a big change to it, and you'll take a Band-Aid for a year or 2 years, and then you'll move on. I could kind of see it happening more if that was the case, but that's not the case. They've been Band-Aiding for 2 or 3 years already now, and I think Colts fans are ready for a long-term solution, whether that's Jacoby Brissett or whether that is drafting a quarterback and having the next franchise quarterback. I think they're ready for some more long-term stability rather than let's play this little goofy game for 2 years or 1 year and see what happens. I think Colts fans are kind of over that already. And I don't think Tom Brady is I honestly, I love him. I think it's great that what he's done at his age, but I don't think that we want 45-year-old Tom Brady out there as the Colts. I mean, I don't. No, and I think here's what I think it would do. Even if they had success, it's going to screw up their ability to get a better draft. So I don't know if they want to.
You're looking at it. You're looking at a 1 or 2 year at most situation, and I think the Colts want some long-term stability when it comes to especially that quarterback position. They've had it for so long, and now it's been 2 or 3 years where it's been kind of up in the air all year long.
They gave up Peyton Manning just to get exactly what you're talking about.
And if it weren't for injuries with Andrew Luck, I think that they got exactly what they wanted. I mean, Andrew Luck was going to be great. Injuries just cut his career short and made it difficult in his last few seasons. And, you can't plan for that.
Nope, you cannot.
Unless you're Bill Belichick.
We got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. We got the prop bets coming. And when I say prop bets, man, we got them.
We got some fun ones.
You can bet on whether or not we're going to bet on the bets. I mean, it's whatever you want. We got lots more coming up. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary. We're back here on this 31st day of January at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Same old trouble you've been having for years. Confuse the problem with each girl. It's perfectly clear. Just a human desire.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue, Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that weather has arrived, it's time to the links. There's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Graham. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Larry with you here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this final day of January. And it is the final day of the year for football as the Super Bowl arrives on Sunday. And if you're a gambler of any sort, we've got the best.
When's the Combine? Is the Combine Monday?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Doesn't seem like the Combine's like right after football
I wouldn't
season.
be. And the draft is next Saturday.
Yeah, the draft is like right the next day. Yeah, I know. Seems like it.
There are so many prop bets. I mean, you can bet on anything you want. Like we were talking earlier, you can bet on the fingernail polish of the person singing the national anthem. You can bet on the coin toss. You can bet on what the first play of the game is going to be. But Todd's got 3 bets for us. And we've got $1,000 to play with, and you can play along if you like. Keep track.
Ours is play money. Keep in mind.
Ours is play money, yeah. This is for entertainment purposes only. But the first one that he came up with was the quarterback, most yards, total passing, either Mahomes or Garoppolo. Mahomes is a minus 300, and Garoppolo is a plus 230. I'm going to go $100 on Mahomes there.
You're risking 100, or you're going to risk the 300? You're going to risk 300 to win 100?
I don't want to spend 300 on that. Do I have to bet on all 3 of these bets?
No. You just got to try to win as much money as possible out of these 3 bets. If you lose one, obviously it's going to hurt you.
I'm going to start where I know I've got 700 on the total yards for the game. This is both teams. Total yards for the game, 769.5. You can break
bet
that
them individually. You can bet them individually as a team. You got Kansas City at 397.5 yards or San Francisco at 371.5 yards. You can bet over or under either one of those.
And I'm taking San Francisco with 371.5, and I'm taking the under for 700.
You like the under. You like the under. You know how fast Kansas City is going to score, right? You know how many times they're going to have the ball. That doesn't scare you.
Everything scares me. Trust me, it all scares me.
Man, I want points. I'm taking the over in the 769.5. I'm just taking both teams over 769.5 for let's go for 300. I'm going 300 on that one.
See, I'm resting all my eggs in that basket.
You're going to okay, and then
all right, I'll take 200.
You got 200 on. You got 700 on the under 371.5.
Yep. Okay. And I'll take the under for the remainder for both total yards. Both teams. I think they're under 769.5.
You're putting all your eggs in those two.
I'm putting all my eggs in that basket.
Well, you're going to try to make me win more than 1,000 on these then. Okay. Well, our third bet, you don't even need to hear then, but the third bet is total rushing yards for both teams combined. Net. So quarterbacks, running backs, anybody that has a running play, 219.5 total yards. Now, didn't San Francisco run more than that by themselves in the last game? I swear.
That kid from Purdue who replaced
Mostert.
Kevin Coleman had a game of his career.
Yeah, he had a
200
career yards by himself. How's that only 219?
Yeah, he was like, well, this is the Super Bowl, and hey, man, that's why they bet him.
Well, I took 300 on the over 769.5. I'm taking another 300 on the over 219.5. And then I'm taking my final 400 fake dollars and betting it on Mahomes to have more passing yards than Garoppolo. So I can only win $125 there, or whatever it is. But that's my safe bet.
I'm going big on.
Yeah, I see that you like the unders. You think it's going to be a defensive battle, huh?
Well, it's the Super Bowl, man. You never can tell. Hell, they could end up with 1,000 yards.
They could end up with 1,000 yards in the first half. They could also end up. The score could be 9-7. I mean, it could go anyway. That's why they have it. Hey, they don't build those big hotels out in Vegas
just took the words out of my mouth. They did not build us. I'm like, when it comes to Las Vegas, I just showed you the other day. What game was that I think Iowa was a 6-point favorite or a 5.5-point favorite, and they win by 6, or it was right.
The numbers are insane. Yeah,
dang it, they are unbelievable.
It's a science. It's a science that I would love. They'll never give us the.
Why doesn't the government put these people to work?
Seriously, agree. It's incredible.
They could take.
Can you imagine the room? Can you picture what the room looks like with the fat guys sitting around in T-shirts, eating pizzas and sub sandwiches, smoking cigars, trying to figure out what the line's going to be?
Busted things, the potato chips.
Yep. Reclining chairs.
Fat guy in the wife beater T-shirt, maybe a little stain on the front of it.
That's probably what it was like 30 years ago. Today, it's probably all computer nerds sitting at kiosks studying analytics.
Ryan said, I agree 100% with what Todd is saying about the NFL moving forward. So there you go.
Thanks, Rhino. It's fun to watch. I mean, think about this. You tell me, what are your thoughts? I'm giving you my opinion. Like, what are your thoughts of the Super Bowl? Would you be excited to watch it if Tennessee was playing San Francisco? And you thought rushing all of those numbers
because we know what Tennessee's about, and they're about handing that ball off to the big man and watching him just rumble over people, which they made it a lot more fun than, say, the old 2 yards in a cloud of dust kind of a deal. But I'm happy with what we got. Patrick Mahomes, of course, is electric. San Francisco, obviously, if they're in the Super Bowl, they played damn well enough to get there. Tim texting in the show says the halftime performers don't get paid, but the NFL does pay for the band's expenses. Well,
what?
Yeah, I don't.
Is that a thing? Is that legit?
I mean,
it's useless information, but it's pretty interesting.
Well, the thing is, they may not get paid, but I promise you, if you go and you look at record sales for these two performers in and around the Super Bowl, they make money right there because their sales will go up without a doubt. I guarantee you. And when's the last time? I don't listen to Shakira. Her hips don't lie. Don't forget about that. But I
don't even know who these people. I don't even know who they are. Who it is?
I know who she is, but I couldn't tell you the last time she had
who's performing. I don't even know who's performing.
J-Lo and Shakira, Jennifer
J-Lo?
Lawrence.
Jennifer
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
It's
Jennifer Lopez. Is that what's his name's wife?
Yes. What's his name? The former baseball player for the Yankees, Alex.
No, Jay-Z. Is that Jay-Z's wife?
No, that's Beyonce.
Oh yeah, you see, I'm not hip in the world. I'm not hip in the world of.
Shakira is a Latin singer. She's known, but she had a song or two that got her well known in America. But other than shaking her hips, I got to be honest with you, I don't know what she does.
Jake, is this information true? Do they really not get paid? You verify any of that?
That doesn't sound right to me because they should like perform.
Good. It doesn't sound right to me.
They're paying their expenses, and they can
How
probably.
do you determine what their expenses are? So, like, I can say, hey, my expenses.
They turn it in, and they probably had their. I mean, Tim
I've never
calls
been
you
good with expense reports. So
no hip Todd. Tim says no hip Todd.
Yeah,
His hips,
no hip Todd.
Todd's hips lie.
My hips don't move. So
that was her big song, "Hips Don't Lie" or something. She shakes her hips. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I read something funny yesterday, and I remember this. And it was 1992. The NFL, the Super Bowl, did not have a big halftime deal back then. They did have one. They had Gloria Estefan singing, but not like major stage like these guys are going to be. And off to the side, you had Brian Boitano, and I forget who the female skater was, but they're over there skating. That was the halftime show that year. But that was the year that In Living Color. Do you remember In Living Color, the TV show?
Of course.
One of my favorites. But that was the year they did the most ingenious thing. They promoted this all month or whatever leading up to the Super Bowl, and it was telling everybody, when the halftime comes for the Super Bowl, turn it over to us, and we're going to give you a halftime show. And they timed it so right at halftime, they came on, and they did a skit that was just funny as hell. Damon Wayans was one of him. He played that little gay guy that wore the thing on his hat. I
don't think you can say that on the radio.
Well, they were homosexuals, whatever, but that's what they were. That's the characters that they were playing.
I got you.
But they were just funny, but they drew 12 million viewers.
Isn't that like
just that?
What's it on this year? It's on Fox this year, right? So
I don't know who has the broadcast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on Fox this year.
I think you're right, because I think Joe Buck has the call. Former IU graduate.
Yeah, and Fox is kind of known for doing that stuff. Didn't they do that with the college football? You know, they tried to take away game day basically from ESPN this year and have their own version of pregame show and stuff like that. So they're kind of known for being the station that tries to take away the publicity.
Tim says the fact that halftime shows don't get paid was on the internet, so it must be true.
Oh, has to be true. Has to be true then.
Yes, but nothing can be better than the infamous wardrobe malfunction.
But if that were the case, if you were the Super Bowl and that were the case, if you're the committee, wouldn't you just invite all one-person singers or one-person bands and cut your expenses way down? Because if I got to fly a whole band out there, it'd be insanely. I mean, we're talking about $1 billion Super Bowl here, so why are they worried about paying people?
I was just getting ready to say, you think that the expenses are
why? Yeah, why would they care about paying people?
I think they don't pay. They can say they don't pay them, so that way they don't have to worry about. Hey, I got
what's
more
a typical
than you.
Halftime show make? What's the lady that flips the bowls up on her head? What do they make for a halftime show?
I couldn't tell you, man.
$500.
That's entertaining.
It is. The lady that flips the bowls up on her head. That's not entertaining to you.
Yeah, let's get the dogs out there. It only cost them like $500 probably. This is probably costing them $500,000.
I'd rather watch the lady ride the unicycle and flip the bowls up on her head with her foot.
I can tell you what I will not be watching.
And Shakira.
I will not be watching Shakira, and I will not be watching Jennifer Lopez.
No, I mean the only this is I should even. No, I'm not even going to say this.
I'm waiting.
I'll say it this way: Do any men watch the halftime show?
Yeah, it depends. I think on who's performing. I really do. I mean,
who would perform that would make you watch the halftime show?
AC/DC.
You'd watch that?
Hell yes, I'd watch that.
In 2020,
Guns N' Roses.
Are they still alive? Are any of them still alive?
Barely.
They're
not
today.
If they were available, hell yeah, I think they would rock it out. Or really? Guns N' Roses. Can you imagine Guns N' Roses up there? It would be awesome. I think.
I mean, I can't think of a halftime show. I can't think of a performer that I would enjoy.
I'm just trying to think of a decent concert that I love. I've seen AC/DC. I've seen Guns N' Roses. I love both their concerts. Yeah, I mean, anybody that I'll enjoy watching, but this is not
Kid Rock and Vanilla Ice.
That would be something. That'd be something. I'm kind of surprised they haven't had Kid Rock. He's kind of Americana.
If it's ever in Detroit, they'll have it. They'll have it.
Yeah, you know that. Oh, they'd have Kid Rock and Kiss.
Is Kiss from Detroit?
No, but the Detroit Rock City.
Oh, gotcha. Well, we
Stretching
are.
there.
This is what the Super Bowl does to you. It gets you talking about all kinds of craziness.
It does. That's what it's supposed to. Biggest food.
Chicken wings.
There you go.
Nachos.
You got that right. I could eat.
Have we ever brought up a food topic that you didn't immediately say, "Oh, I could eat some of that right now"?
Probably not.
I don't think
because
so.
I don't recall you bringing up anything that I do not like.
I agree.
I'm trying to think of what I don't like, and
how many chicken wings are consumed on Super Bowl Sunday? I bet.
How many pounds of freaking chicken?
Oh
my God!
There's a story on that.
Can you imagine all those poor chickens without wings? Because you know that there's just
there
millions.
are buffaloes.
Well, there's that. I think they got to go miniature sometimes.
Buffalo wings.
Yeah, that's why buffaloes can't fly. I guess they clip all their wings off.
We eat them all.
That'd be a good joke for the kids, huh? Indiana, thank goodness Indiana's not playing on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, I hate that. There are some teams that are playing.
I was just getting ready to ask that question. Who is playing on Super Bowl Sunday? Let's see. Boom, boom. And that would be Sunday.
Illinois and Iowa play on Sunday.
Oh, they sure do. That's at 1:00. If you notice, the latest game is Siena and St. Peter's that nobody cares about at 4. Utah plays UCLA at 3. Nobody cares about that. So, yeah, the games that people are going to watch.
Yeah, I mean, here's the part that I always think about with that though. So you got Illinois playing at Iowa at 1:00. So that game's going to be over at 3. They're not going to get to the airplane until 4:30, and they're going to have to fly back to Illinois and Champaign. So they're going to miss the first half of the Super Bowl. That's why you don't play on Super Bowl Sunday. Poor kids from Illinois are not going to get to watch the first half of the Super Bowl.
No, they'll have it on the plane.
They will not. It'll be in transit.
They don't play for Bob Knight. They play for his brother, Fran McCaffrey. Or you're talking about Illinois, aren't you?
Illinois. Brad Underwood.
Brad Underwood, yeah.
But I mean, that's just why you don't. I mean, you just don't play on Super Bowl Sunday.
But look at that. There are no big games. I mean, Illinois and Iowa is a pretty good game. That's 19, number 19, number 18. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's a pretty good game. But overall, not many games. They weren't stupid. They said, "Hey, this is Super Bowl Sunday. Let's pass on this one."
Yep.
Other games that are happening on the when Indiana plays tomorrow, which is February 1st. Can you believe that? February 1st.
No.
Let's see. LSU's ranked, by the way, 16-4. They're number 22. Trenton Watford's brother plays for them. You haven't heard much about them, though. That's weird that they're number 22. They're 16-4. Haven't heard a lot about LSU this year.
Yeah, they kind of got off. I think they got off to a hot start, and they were playing really well. And then they lost 2 games in a row to East Tennessee State and USC. And East Tennessee State, that sounds like a bad loss, but they're actually a really good team. So that's not as bad a loss as it sounds like. USC, they should never lose that game. USC is not really very good. They lost early on to a Utah State team. But, I mean, you're looking at them right now. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games in a row. So, I mean, they're obviously on a roll right now.
Michigan State is at Wisconsin. And a game that probably would have taken on a lot more significance before yesterday, but now with the loss of Kobe King, they're teetering. They're at 12-9, Todd. Even though they're at home, I think they lose that game to Michigan State. I think this is the beginning of the end for Wisconsin. I think Clark Kellogg's right. He was the first. He mentioned that he didn't think Wisconsin was going to make it. And I think he's right. I don't think that they're going to make the tournament. I thought they were going to.
They're the epitome of the Big Ten because they have some of the best wins. They've won at Ohio State. They've already beaten Maryland. They won at Penn State. They've got some of the best road wins of any team in the conference, but they also have, too many bad losses. And, they're 12-9 overall. And, with their schedule ending the year out, I mean, quite frankly, they have to win this game. I mean, they really need this win. I don't know. I mean, Wisconsin, they're Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, they're a lot like Indiana from the standpoint of, they can look really, really good and they can also look pretty bad.
Now, Ohio State, on the other hand, I still think that this is a must-win game for them, that they lose this at home. I think this might be the beginning of the end for them, but they would only be 13-8, so it's not like that they're almost at 500 or anything, but I think they're heading that direction.
They go on the road for 2 games after this. They go 2 Michigan and 2 Wisconsin, so they've got a big 2 weeks coming up for them from the standpoint of whether they make the tournament or not.
They're a 50-50 team right now. They can still make it, but we're going to have to see what they do without DJ Carton, how they can play, because they haven't played well, and it's not because of him, but they haven't played well with him. So I don't know if without him it's going to be much better.
Okay, so this is where – so think about it. Ohio State's 13-7, and Indiana's 15-6. Okay, those 2 win difference. Everyone can talk about how weak Indiana's schedule was to start the year and how much that sucked and all of that. But this time of year, February, we're not talking about that anymore. We're looking at the fact that Indiana has 15 wins, and it puts them ahead of Ohio State. Simply because they've got 15 wins, it doesn't matter who they played at this point.
Exactly, and they play the toughest schedule remaining in the country. So you can't. So anybody that talks about their schedule, I'm like, I don't even want to hear that crap.
It was set up. It was kind of set up perfectly. If Indiana right now was 13-7, we would probably be saying they're on the bubble.
They're on the bubble, exactly, and they would be on the bubble.
You're right, but because they're 15-6, we're all saying they're in, and they would have to play their way out.
Yep.
And that's where the scheduling at the beginning of the year. I mean, people were all saying, "Oh, we haven't played anybody. We want to play a tougher schedule. I hate the way that Archie Miller schedules this." You're not saying that now. I'm sure not.
One thing I haven't talked about, Indiana plays Ohio State tomorrow at noon. You know what that means? After the game comes to you live from Yogi's at around 2 o'clock. The Indiana postgame show with Todd Leary, of course, coming to you. Be there, be square, be with us. You can join us at Yogi's if you're in the area, but if not, find us on Facebook. We'll be there Facebook Live as soon as the game ends, as we always are. Hopefully it's a win for Indiana and a very positive thing because, man, being 16-6 and the win on the road, that and coming back home for two games, that there's nothing that could put Indiana on a better trajectory right now than to do just that.
Yep, they losing that home game to Maryland. They've got to make up for it somewhere. They had 2 opportunities this week, and they definitely didn't play well against Penn State. So this is a good opportunity for them, just like you said, to get that win and then come home for 2 games against 2 teams you probably should beat at home, Purdue and Iowa. This could be the start of a nice little run for the Hoosiers where they separate themselves out and kind of put them up there in that top tier of the Big Ten, or unfortunately, being a road game, it could be continuing the slide.
I can't remember if I talked about it much or not, but the women came from behind last night. They were down by 10 entering the 4th quarter. I think it was Wisconsin they played. They would end up pushing that game to overtime, and then they would win in overtime. But they outscore Wisconsin like 37-17 over the 4th quarter of the overtime period.
Wow.
They were getting beat the entire game handily, and then came back in the 4th quarter and then win going away in overtime. So congratulations to them as well. But that's going to pretty much wrap it up. Don't forget about after the game, coming to you live from Yogi's around 2 o'clock tomorrow as soon as the game ends. Join us if you wish, but if not, join us on Facebook. We look forward to it. Thanks a lot to Tom Brew. Thanks most importantly to Clark Kellogg, our great guest. Thanks to Jake for keeping us on the wheel, and my running mate Todd Leary. Until tomorrow, I will see you on the radio.